Welcome back to another episode of the
SLT podcast.
SLT podcast. We have myself, Ziggy Moore, More Education, all that good stuff, assistant head. We have Miss Rena Johnson, Senko extraordinaire.
Come on.
Yep, deputy head teacher. But we also have today on the SLT podcast, we are esteemed, we are honoured to have Dr. Stuart Lawrence. Now, Dr. Stuart Lawrence is if I miss anything out, let me know. It's quite a long list, you know. We've got teacher, author, consultant, public speaker, and general social advocate, somebody who's empowering young people. And we are really, really honoured to have you on the podcast. And I'm going to be honest, Stuart reached out to us and just said, listen, I love what you're doing. When I saw it, I was
gassed.
to use a word from the young people. Yeah, like we was gassed. We was like, oh my goodness. Obviously we know the Lawrence name, the Lawrence family, and what they've done in the community. We can touch on that, but thank you. In essence, just thank you for just acknowledging the work that we do, acknowledging what we're trying to do, and taking the time. Especially being from South London.
Passport's been stamped.
Yeah, coming all the way over here. So yes, as I said, well, the main thing is you're a teacher.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were a teacher.
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about kind of your teaching career.
Yeah, 100%. So I fell into it. I finished university in 2001. I was working at the Home Office at the time.
Okay.
And that was my pathway. I was supposed to be a high-powered civil servant, like private secretary to a minister somewhere. That was that was a pathway that I sort of etching out for myself, and lots of people were sort of trying to edge me towards. So for my second year at university, every summer holidays, I was at the Home Office, just working away, and then I did Christmas, and then the following year did the same sort of thing again, and then 9/11 happened. I remember it clear as day. So I'm on the Home Secretary's floor. There's only one TV in Queen's Anne Gate, which is on the Home Secretary's floor, that's playing the news out.
Wow.
And I'm talking to his secretary, and we're there just talking. And it was like, the TV, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my goodness, we don't. And then the first plane goes into the building. And then we sort of look at each other like, is this like, what's... And the second, and then the whole building just went crazy. So we went shut down. Everyone had to go home. And then from that day onwards, it was just like high security, come in, shoes off, belts off, full pat down, come in. Anthrax letters were being sent, all this madness. And I was just like, whoa, I didn't sign up for none of this. So I was just like, do you know what? So I took some time out. Went away for a bit, and then I came back to London, and my head teacher at my school where I was at for 15 years was a family friend, and I can't remember what occasion it was. I think my sister had graduated and she was around at my mum's house, and she was like, oh, you're not just finished doing a graphics degree? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, these girls I keep talking to about graphics design and all those things. She said, would you think about coming across and doing some bits for us? I was like, oh, I'm not doing nothing much else. And I was like, girls, how easy is this going to be? Like in a girls' school, and like, hey, listen, that first year, because I didn't have my maths, so I did my first year was just like an IT guy helping out while I did my maths. So I got great insight, but behind the scenes of what it was going to be like. And I did a GTP, so I was there working on site while I was getting learning my craft. And I tell people all the time that worked so well for me, just to be there from day one, watching other people in their craft, and then term 2, a little bit of team teaching, and that third term, teaching by myself, man. What an experience that was. And I always say to people, for me, teachers are the best individuals, man, because you've got to get 30 kids who sometimes don't want to do nothing, sometimes don't want to even be there, and somehow you have to convince them that what you're telling them is good information. They're going to need it, and they need to desire it, and actually they need to do some work inside the lesson and have some outcomes as well. So,
no, it's a bit of but how did you find it teaching in a girls' school? Because I always said I would never teach in an all-girls school out of fear Like no other
Yeah,
reason
no,
out
100%.
of fear, because I've seen.
Yeah, I was quite ignorant though in this week but on my GTP, you used to go to other schools and so I went to an all boys school as well up the road. When Donnie's like 6 foot something and you're looking up to him, you're going like, no, come on now. And you're trying to get. I was just like, that's too much.
Yeah.
That's too much. So I naively thought the girls would be a little bit more easier, but they were different. It's a different experience, especially in Southwest London. Especially like London had the highest teenage pregnancy rate in Europe when I was there as well. And a lot of challenge there because again, a lot of girls didn't have their dads around as well. So being a male authoritarian in an environment where I'm telling you what to do, there was a lot of clashes. That went on. But again, there's some great outcomes as well. Like I've got a message the other day from someone, saying to me that she's got an 11-year-old son and somehow I taught her. And I was like, what? Shut up. I didn't teach you. You ain't got no kids like me. But they're grown women now. Most of them are grown women doing some amazing things in the world. And yeah, as I said, it was...
Don't worry. That's what happens to Rena when we go out when we're out and we see these big women. They come to, oh, Rena. I'm like, hold on. Yeah, that happens all the time. It happened the other day. Remember, she was like 34.
Yeah. All right, thanks. Cut that bit.
Accentuating the time. But no, as I said, absolute best. And yeah, it wasn't easy, and I wouldn't never say it was an easy experience, but definitely a challenging one that helped shape me and grew me into the individual I am now, that then goes off and does all the other stuff that I do. That those 15 years did. Yeah.
So I'm assuming there were no regrets because, as you said, there was this kind of maybe political type career aspirations in that regard, and then kind of switched to becoming a teacher. There were no regrets there at all.
No, not really. I always, for me, stuff about life is about impact as well. As a civil servant, like if you ask people now, what do civil servants do? Who are they? People wouldn't know and understand. A private secretary, like that's a high-powered job. That's a very influential person, but the everyday person on the roads doesn't understand that process. They think the ministers they see on TV are the people that are running around and making decisions and saying these things, and it's not. So a little bit was also about what is that legacy about? What am I leaving behind? Who else am I helping? How do people know what I'm doing? If I'm just tucked away in an office somewhere getting, and don't get me wrong, like those civil, that's a nice job, and but again, as I said, it's not always about the pound coin. It's for me, it's always about, as I said, the impact you can make and the lives you can touch and the individuals you can help. And working in a school was just like, yeah, someone did it for me. Someone was there for me. Someone could see something in me that I didn't see inside myself, a young person. And again, that's a super powerful thing to someone to say, you can make it, like you can do stuff. Amazing, like you could be like empowering stuff. That really is. So yeah.
100%. Something I've kind of heard as well. I know you spoke about your sister and spoke about yourself, and it's interesting because I'm kind of gauging we're about the same age, but you come from a family where education is quite important.
100%, yeah.
So tell me about kind of your early life influences in regards to upbringing that shaped your commitment to kind of education.
Yeah, education. Like that's my mum's mantra. Like that was it. There was nothing else, and she was always the lady about, if I'm going to tell you to do something, I'm not telling you something I can't do myself. So she was going back to get her own degree.
Yeah.
During that time when we lost Stephen, that's what she was doing, because again, she wanted to show us that it was possible. Like it doesn't matter what time in your life. If I want to go out and get a degree, then I'll go and get a degree. So that's what she went to go do.
What did she?
She was doing humanities. She wanted to be a school teacher, primary school teacher. That's what she was going to go into. So yeah, there was no other choice or idea that all of us were going to go to university.
And it's so interesting because, as we know, when we look at the statistics, that Black Caribbean boys, but we generally don't go to university at the rates that we of other ethnic groups.
Yeah.
And it's almost becoming a kind of talking point.
Yeah.
Especially that would have been like the late 90s.
Yeah.
No, early 90s.
Yeah.
Early 90s. So to kind of have that, and it reminds me very much of my mum, because my brothers, we all went to university, and I thought it was a norm, but now looking around, it wasn't. It really wasn't. So, so you're saying that was just your mum? She
100%.
just
We're a family of teachers. I've got an uncle called Uncle Teacher. Like we're a family of teachers. My godmother's a teacher. Like uncle cousins are teachers.
Yeah.
So it's in our family of that part of education and how important it was. So I think it was just instilled that it was just something like while we're here, do you know how many opportunities you've got here? You're going to get it done. That was the one thing where, my dad lives back in Jamaica now, and I remember sort of like 4 or 5 years ago, like I was like, why would you come over here at 18, do 2 years, go back to Jamaica, and then 2 years later you find yourself back here living full time? Like what? Like, do you know how nice Jamaica is? Like, do you know how, like it was just about that. It's about the opportunity for his kids.
Yeah.
That's why he came. So to not realise that opportunity would be an absolute, like, the worst of the worst, like, for my family and my mum and dads, because that's what it's about. Like I said, education. You work hard, you get a good education, the world's your oyster. You can go ahead and do anything you want to do.
Yeah. I do really try to understand, because I know that was when my grandparents came over in the 50s. That was what it was all about.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting to see how education, especially within the Black Caribbean kind of diaspora, isn't seen as the go-to. This is going to be your opportunity to change your life, to change the lives of your family forever and ever. And as you can see with your family, it's completely changed the landscape.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe something we'll definitely explore.
Yeah, definitely. But also for me, it's the access that you can have. Having an education doesn't persuade to say your life will be better, but it allows you to access more opportunities in general in life. Like my grandma couldn't read. I didn't find out my grandma couldn't read till she passed away, and she masked and hid that really, really well.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can't find my glasses. Stuart, come, what is? So again, it's that some of those things is like not wanting the obstacles that they found in their lives to carry on as well. And I think that's super important to talk about for parents, especially. Like, why would you want your child to go through the same traumatic experiences that you went through, have the same barriers? That surely we're all here to uplift our next generations to the next level, to have better than what we did. Again, that's something that was just instilled in us as children. Like, I'm trying to give you a better opportunity than I had here, Stuart. Like, that was something that was also talked about in our family household. So does that still happen? Are we still having those conversations with our children about the struggles and strains?
I don't think across the board. I've met a number of parents who had difficulties in school themselves and had just checked out of education and were inadvertently encouraging their own children to do
100%.
the same.
Yeah.
It's very interesting parents' evenings, because you meet the parents. No, and
No,
I'm
100%.
not
And then
saying
you
this
go,
to be
"Oh, I get it."
disparaging, but I get it.
Just what I'm saying. Then you go, "Oh, all right, that makes sense now." And that's horrible to do that, because, like I said, each young person should have the best opportunity. But if their parents don't know, and that's what I loved about my school as well. I met a parent the other day. She was working in Marks and Spencer. She said, "You know what, Stuart? What I loved about the school was that you didn't just think about the kids, you thought about the parents as well, about upskilling us."
Yeah.
So we run ICT courses, like basics, Microsoft Words. And again, as an IT, I taught IT because I was the IT technician. So ICT was on the lessons. I taught on a Saturday. I think I did 2 Saturdays a month. Couple of hours, come in parents. We had a brand new computer suite. So like 30 computers. Come in, sit down, talk to them about the computers, talk about the internet. Just give them some basic skills of understanding. Upskilling our parents, because if we can upskill our parents, that makes them better parents. So when we're saying to them, we're doing this, this, they go, okay, cool, sure, I get it. Because why do I think you're not trying to do something to help my child for? And you don't get the resistance. But if it's that parent's experience, that was one of the key things I learned quite early out. If a child's parents has a negative experience, that child will probably come with a negative experience, because it's like my mum. Okay, but this is not your mum and dad, like mum's dad situation now. This is your situation, and I'm not your mum's teacher either. Like, so whatever they went through, it doesn't mean it's going to happen again. It could happen again, possibility maybe, but it doesn't mean it has to. It doesn't have to.
Yeah. No, those parents' evenings are revealing, and I do think schools although a lot of things are placed on schools, a lot of kind of societal ills. Oh, look,
Yeah.
maybe we should put that in schools.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
I do think that is a place where schools do kind of miss out in regards to upskilling parents and supporting parents as
100%.
well. Because even now with technology, most homework and things like that are done like upload to Google Classrooms
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
upload
that's
to the
true.
Hub or
Yeah.
Maths or this, that, and the other. And even a lot of parents' evenings are done virtually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100% since lockdown. Yeah, get through
Yeah,
them quickly. Everyone's got 3 minutes. Don't
yeah.
Yeah,
like.
that's wild. You're still talking and it's just cut off. You're just like, okay.
100% mid sentence, but again, we find ways to make things work, don't we? Again,
Yeah.
and that's what school's all about, and that's why I don't appreciate how we're not seen as one of the most important elements in society.
Yeah.
Like you go to Sweden, you go to other countries, teachers are revered as, oh,
Yeah.
oh my god, oh you're a teacher. Thank you, like, oh my goodness, thank you. And over here, it's like, oh, well, you couldn't get a proper job, eh?
Yeah.
You like the holidays, don't you?
Exactly.
Eh?
Yeah.
That's a classic one. You love the holiday. I'm like, do you know the only holiday that I loved was 6 weeks? Because I get 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I get 2 weeks to myself. I get 2 weeks to decompress, unpack all the trauma, get myself back to feeling like a human being again. Then I have my 2 weeks holiday.
Yep.
And I've got 2 weeks to prepare myself to get back to
New term.
a new term, exam results, like. So that's the bit that people don't seem to understand as well, because they always just think, "Oh, you get every 7 weeks you get a week off." Yeah, I need it. I need it to reset myself and make sure that I don't go in the classroom and do myself an injustice or someone else an injustice, because it's stressful. It's hard.
Yeah, people really don't get it.
It really does.
But you know, that's what I found. It was borderline comical during lockdown because there were some very scathing comments about parents who had been forced to look after their children, and they were deriding teachers for being lazy because they were working from home. And it's like, well, yeah, we need to keep safe for our own families as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And you have 3 children who belong to you.
Yeah.
I
Your
was so
decision.
confused. Yeah, honestly, some of the comments that I saw on Twitter, I was just like, is this actually serious?
Oh, dear. But again, it's a douse of realism of what life's like. And I always say to people, listen, I've got one, and God love Theo, and he's 14 now, and you know, I'm moving to the grunts and sound stage of life, which I was just like, no, I'll be fine. Like, I'm not. He's mine. Like, he hits my combination quicker than any child could. But he's mine. And I don't have the same detachment as I have with other people's children. So it's a lot easier to teach other people's kids. It's so hard to teach your own child something and to be in that way, because again, you're just like, why are you not behaving and listening like the way that I think you should be behaving and listening? Oh, you're right, it's because you're mine. Right, okay, I get it. So therefore the traits that you're showing, that's me, right? Okay, cool, I get it. That's also life as well. So yeah.
Just to move on to kind of your family experiences and obviously the impact of your brother Stephen and his influence in your path and mission. So just kind of give us an overview of, because your younger brother by how many years?
2.5 years.
Okay, so
2.5 years. So I was always the one just slightly behind him.
Yeah.
So you know, I had primary school. He was there for a couple of years and he disappeared. Junior school was there for a couple of years and he disappeared. Secondary year, it was the same sort of thing. So, but again, I always say to people, Stephen was such an infectious person of being good at everything. He was one of those annoying people, just good at everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what he turned his hand to, he was just good at it. And he's just like, how? Like, can you not just be a little bit rubbish at cooking or, you know, taking the trash out or just something, like a little bit, just so everyone, he had such an infectious personality where everyone just warmed to him. You know, it's crazy because there was a food shop in Brixton that he used to go to, and when I finished teaching full time, and I did some supply teaching, one of the technicians at the school I went to worked at that food shop and remembered him and was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe you're teaching here. You know, I used to serve your brother food like every Friday night. I used to come to Brixton, jump on the tube, go out Camden Market, and he was such a lovely, polite boy." And it doesn't surprise me about that experience that she had, because that's just who he was. But yeah, we've lost a good one there. I always say to people, and all I tried to do in reflection of that was just try to be an ounce like him, just a little bit, because I had 16 years of the best big brother that I could ever have. You know, yes, we fought like cats and dogs at home. Yes, I used to get on his nerves, but outside the family home, no one could say, look at me sideways, and he find out and just like, what? Oh, that's my little brother, man. What are you doing? You're mad. Like he was really, really, really that guy for me. And I always say it's just the sense of loss that I feel now of what an uncle he would have been to my son. It's those sort of things that I try not to allow myself to think about too much, because it's just a great sense of loss. And over absolutely nothing as well. Over absolutely nothing. So yeah. It's a reflection. Like, it's so my birthday was on Monday. Monday? What day on the phone? We're Monday, 14th. So we are
Belated happy
now.
birthday.
Thank you. I'm getting old, so I try not to
We all are.
try not to talk or celebrate them too much. But it's mad because it's a week before Stephen passed away. And then it's a week after it's my sister's birthday as well.
Oh, wow.
So we're smack bang in the middle. So for the last 30-something years, I've not been able to have a birthday where you go, like, it's my birthday. Because again, I just feel like, but I know what's going to happen next week. And it's that thing of that Groundhog Day, you know, keep going back around. And that's why I've said, like, especially the work that I do around speaking about Stephen, my consultancy, I've given myself 10 years to do that stuff. And then after that 10-year period, I'm going to be like, cool, what's next? Because I can't keep talking about my trauma. I can't keep picking my scab and expect that I can fully heal and move on with life. So I've said, I've got 5 more years left, and then we'll just see where we are in 5 years' time. If I don't want to do it no more, I won't do it. If I want to do it, then I'll go and do it. But I just think it's always wise, because I've seen my mum. My mum's 72 now. Yeah, 72 now, and she's keeps saying to her, just but then breaks a bit. She's just not that lady. She's just not that woman. She's not. She's full steam ahead. And the best that she does now, she says she doesn't do nothing on a weekend. That's the weekends her own. But during the week, she's every morning jumps in a car, drives to the station, jumps in the train, House of Lords, and does her stuff up there. So, yeah, she's got different things that she's pushing for and trying to get done now.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, because I understand the impact it had on, like, myself, my generation, my brother. I know Bina, and what it kind of means to a certain generation. I don't know how well that's translated through to, like, my son and his generation, because when we speak about it, and when the visceral impact it had on us in regards to how we viewed the country we lived in, our position within the country that we lived in, and how we operated moving forward, I think to some extent it's good that our children don't kind of have that weight, but it's also kind of slightly tragic that they don't have an understanding of that kind of that pivotal time and impact that we went through, specifically as a community. And I'll be specific, it was as a Black British, the Black Caribbean community as well, and it being kind of so pivotal. But I know you do, as you kind of spoke on the work that you do, so you do kind of a lot of work kind of in prisons, youth groups and things like that. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? So once you kind of transitioned out of teaching, went in to do
so Stephen Lawrence Day, so the 22nd of April officially got named as Stephen Lawrence Day back in 2018, and I was like, cool, we can use this as a vehicle now to carry on the legacy. But then lockdown happened. So it was like we had 1 year where we was doing stuff, and then the following year was like lockdown. That was really, really hard, because again, the idea was to break it up over 3 strands: so education, through curriculum, community, and careers. And for me, the curriculum part was great, but I just feel like April's a funny time in schools and school life. There's a lot going on. You've got exams and everything. Not everyone's there. So I personally would have been like, can we not have it on his birthday, September 13th? The beginning of the year, a lot more scope for understanding it. But it is what it is. And So what we've tried to do now is, like I said, we're an organisation. The foundation is an organisation that basically helps other groups and other schools and other businesses celebrate Stephen Lawrence Day in some sort of way. We didn't want to make it thematic, a bit like the Holocaust Day, where you had to come up with a theme every day because then it becomes a bit gimmicky.
Yeah.
But we just thought, like, if people can talk about how you can use this day to celebrate what your best life is and how you want to improve your life in some way. If it's not for yourself, for a young person, or for your community, or for someone in your business, then that's a great way to continue the legacy going forward. I definitely would say that there's still a lot more work to do around that, of trying to get it out there more and try to make more noise about it. We've had a couple of years of the previous government, so I felt like they didn't really advertise and promote in the way that they could do. And I'm a lot more hopeful now that we've had a change of music, that they may take it a bit more seriously, and we might see some somatic change in our education policy and procedures. So therefore, it just becomes part of the legacy going forward, where we talk about our full history rather than parts of our history that, we cherry pick the bits that we want to talk about, the bits that make us feel comfortable, the bits that promote what they want to promote, rather than understanding that this is a fabric of multiculturalness in this country. There's so many different factors that make up this country to the people and the place that we are today. It wasn't just one race or one person. I think that's really important to try and get that message out there. And that starts by the education we give our young people.
we gasp simultaneously. No, because I'm just thinking, I think I agree with you that September would be a better day, because you don't have the upheaval with year 11s getting ready for their first papers and all the rest of it. And I'm just wondering if maybe reaching out to schools who have committed to having an anti-racist curriculum, that is one of their tenets that they stick to. Because I think policy change can, take a while. Sometimes it's down to who you know and all the rest of it. I know you already know that, but I just think maybe working your way upwards might be. I mean, we'll do what we can to support that. 100%. But,
and there are schools out there that are celebrating it, that do lots of things all the time. We established in the first year, I think there's about 8 different schools as sort of beacon schools of Stephen Lawrence, and sort of some of the events and activities they partook by themselves, and came up with some different things of changing their own syllabus and changing their own curriculum to interweave what Stephen was all about. So there are some great schools out there really doing some stuff, and there are still schools who continue to do it up to this day. So it is being recognised, but it's a national day, and I just don't feel like it has the national reach it should have. Like, London's a very unique place, and that's why I always say to people in my consultancy work, like, I don't really need to take care of London, because it takes care of itself. It's going to places like Chorley and in Newcastle and these people where, diversity isn't as readily available on their doorstep as it is in London. But it's not saying that there isn't people of colour in those places, or people of difference, because they are. And their voices deserve to be heard as well and really recognised as well.
There's really a job to be done to cement the 20th, because in my mind, there's certain dates, like 22nd of April, 19th of May, Malcolm X, I'm going to say Garvey's birthday, which is the 17th of August. There's certain dates that just click in my mind. But it's almost like a marketing thing, and hopefully we can do something, connecting with other educators who are watching this. Embed it within your personal development, within your tutor time and things like that. And there are resources available.
There's resources available on the website, the Stephen Lawrence Foundation websites. There's assemblies, there's workshops, there's activities for schools. There's suggestions of different things that community groups have done as well. So any community group can put on a Stephen Lawrence Day event, but just let us know about that you're doing it, and so that we can help promote and celebrate it as well. And in careers, like I said, so there's been quite a few different organisations that have dedicated time and space and money to support stuff as well, so in the foundation as well. So there are organisations and people doing things, but again, it's always about consistently banging that drum and getting that message out there, which is really important as well.
100%. Thank you very much. Want to move on to, you can see these brilliant books. Let's talk a bit more about your authorship and publication. Tell us a bit about the books you've done.
So 2 books. Silence is Not an Option, which is my first book. This book I wrote during lockdown. My son basically was moving from primary school into secondary school as a secondary school teacher. I was just like, there's so many stuff I need to teach him. Like, I love year sevens. I think year sevens is the best year group to teach because they've had the snake and ladders effect. You know, the big I am in primary school. They know everything goes. They know everything. And all of a sudden, they've hit a snake and they've gone all the way down to the bottom again. You've got to start again. You're going to this school and you're looking around, there's some big kids around, and then all of a sudden you've got to know 11, 12 different teachers across the space of the week rather than that one teacher, what they like, what they don't like. And that's a traumatic time for some of them young people. It can really be. But again, I frame it around as the biggest adventure of their life. Every young person, every adult, you go home now and you ask your mum, dad, your first day at school, secondary school was like, they'll be able to tell you what they wore, who they sat next to at lunch. Yeah. It's a very significant day. So if I can make that day the best day ever for them, hopefully then that whole experience about secondary school will be a lot better. So it talks about friendship, it talks about time, it talks about characteristics of yourself, personality, money. It talks about all the things. I just think if I could just give you that little bit more information and knowledge, hopefully you'll be a better person going forward as well. So yeah, 10 plus. And yeah, I always say to people, even adults can read it as well, because it's one of those books that will either give you a hug and say you're doing great stuff, continue, or if you live with a kick at the bum.
So this is more for, this for parents or for children?
For children.
This
for
is
10
for
plus.
Children.
Yeah,
okay,
10 plus.
Brilliant.
10 plus that book is for. And then what I've done in there is I've tried to answer some of the most popular questions I used to get asked as a teacher by kids about Stephen, about my life and such as well. So I start every chapter with that. And then I break it down into the further points to cover as well. And then the second one, Growing Up Black in Britain, was written 2 years ago now. And that was a collaboration book that was... And I always say to people, that book would do fine. Like, I bet they would go, oh, man, what can we do for Black History Month? And they put in Black British History, that book will come up.
Okay.
And it basically covers 7 other people than myself's childhood experience of growing up in this country, and at what point they got othered, and then they realised that they weren't like everyone else. And then it sort of ranges from people in London, because I really felt like there was a couple of London vibes after I interviewed a couple of people, and I was like, wow, their experience was quite the same as mine. But then when I went outside London, so Eunice Olamide is a great one in Scotland. If you type in, Black British History, this book comes up, and hopefully it allows people to have an insight into some different range of people's experiences being brought up in this country. And it's that point where you are othered, and then you sort of realise that, hold on a minute, like my skin color, wow, that's going to be a barrier. That's going to make other people look at me and treat me differently. And then the first couple of people I interviewed were from London, and I started to pick up a bit of a London vibe and how it was bad, but it wasn't really bad. But then when I interviewed Eunice Olamide from Scotland,
wow, that must have been...
That was just just like really... And one of the most phenomenal things that she said to me during my interview with her was she's like, so, Stuart, where are you from? So I was like, I'm Black British. She's like, what do you mean you're Black British? You can't be Black and British. So I was like, yeah, that's what I put in the form. She said, well, Britain is made up of 4 different places. Yeah. England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and Scotland and Wales. You can't be born in all 4 places. Where was you born? So I was like, England. She said, well, you're Black English, aren't you? Or English Black. And I was just like, wow. I never really... But I don't have that option, because on the form it says Black British or Black British Caribbean. So it's just how we're programmed, how we're talked about. That BAME acronym that was in Queen's to put us all together in the box. These are not ways that I want to identify and talk about myself. I know my heritage and my history, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it.
Oh, man. So the next obvious question is, where can we get these books? That's what we need to know.
Yes. So I'd love for you to go and speak to your independent bookstores. Go there first, if you can. Definitely should be available there, because my books are being published by Scholastic, so they cover most of the independents. Yeah. But if you need to go and do the internet thing, then it's on Amazon and Waterstone and all the rest of it. You can go and find it as well.
And this one,
yep.
At the back, it's got that there are contributions towards the King's Trust.
Yes.
If you buy this book.
Yeah.
That's fab.
Yeah.
I know you're.
So again, we were trying to make sure that we again just do something for someone else. Like it doesn't like. I'm a firm believer the more that we are open and the more that we give, the more that you get. Like I'm that type of person, and yeah, it's not always about me and the pound note. Like just do good work and good things will follow you. That's what I think.
Yeah, motto to live by. So, all right, Stuart. So, give me some insights into kind of some of the current challenges that you see around, especially kind of race education and kind of youth empowerment. What are some of the big challenges that you're seeing in your day to day work?
So the big thing is the reason why I left teaching was because I got a bit dismystified about it all. So I'm a creative subject teacher, and then EBAC rolls up, and then all of a sudden my subject isn't as important as anyone else's subject because we fall into bucket number 4, and bucket number 4 doesn't add to school value added, so therefore my budget gets cut, and then all of a sudden the quality of kids I get gets cut as well.
Oh, I don't think.
And then I'm like, my results go down, and I'm having to go and see governors. And the governors are going, "What, Stuart? You're a 92 to 88% A to C teacher. Like, what's happened? You're at 65%." I'm like, because you've given me 5 girls who didn't want to do my subject, and because I can deal with behaviour,
Yeah.
you've given me. But if they don't want to do the subject, I'm not that guy to do the work for them. I can't do that. And look myself in the mirror and know that I've
Never do that.
written things and marked people and known that that's my work, and if they've got grades for that, I'm not that guy. So I said from the time beforehand that I didn't think they'd make it. I told everyone they could tell. I had line manager, and no one wanted to listen to me. After doing some years of supply teaching, and like I was on a maternity cover when lockdown happened, I was just like, how are we letting the prisoners out? And then expecting the prisoners to go back in the building and say to them, "So, okay, don't worry. No, you can't go to the toilet now. No, you can't eat while you're doing your work."
Yeah.
And so it just really gave me a little bit of a jaded opinion of education and the way that we're doing it. And it almost feels like indoctrination into a process. It does. It does feel like sometimes that we're not giving our young people the stuff they need for today.
Yes.
So Ken Robinson, I remember. So I'm so old to remember when TED Talks first started, and I remember CPD that we had one Tuesday afternoon, and they got us all into the hall, and it's like, "Oh, we're going to show you a TED Talk. You know, these new things where." So I was like, "All right, cool." And then some Ken Robinson come on, and that just that creativity blew my mind. What he said, and I was just like, so. I'm actually part of the process that's making this worse for young people because I'm a creative subject. And now all of a sudden I'm being told that we're not important when Donnie on the streets is saying it's the most important thing and how we're killing people's kids' creativity by pushing them through this process. And I'm part of that process. I was like, do you know what? I don't want to be part of that process. So I tapped out and decided I was going to go and do other things. And yeah, like I said, lucky you wrote the book and stuff. And that's been able to me to push me back into another world again. But teaching something I miss. I just miss being around the kids.
Yeah.
You know, I miss seeing their development and growth. I miss seeing that kid in year 7 and then seeing him in year 11 going, "That's it. I knew he's going to be okay." Or, "How did you get from that snotty little to woof?" Like, amazing. So that's what I miss about the education system. And as I said, you know, the way the economy's going at the moment, I might have to jump back in and do a bit for a little while anyway, because yeah, things are a bit rough out there at the moment. But yeah, I absolutely tell people all the time, whenever I finish doing my consultancy stuff, that would probably be the best or the first thing I look back to go back into, because I never went to be a head teacher.
Yeah.
I never went to be senior management. Like I just, them guys over there. No, man, we're the guys in the trenches. And what I've not realised was that head teachers set the tone for the whole school.
100%.
Whatever you presume a classroom environment should be like, you can set that tone for the whole school rather than just your classroom. And for me, that's a powerful thing. And that's what my headmistress did for our school so much. I've got to give a big shout out to Sim Martin in the field as well.
Might go back in, if you do go back in, you go back into senior leadership.
Yeah. I think that's the only way that I will go back in. But a senior leader that does actually teach. So in my son's secondary school, the headmistress, she teaches every year year 7 student for the first term. makes sense, isn't it? You're the head teacher. You've got to get to know the people that you're supposed to be governing. Like, hold on a minute. And when I saw that, I was just like, yeah, it can be done. It can be done. Like, she just takes the first term. Yeah, she takes away the rest of the stuff she's got to do and just does that so she can get to know the year sevens, which I thought was a great one. I was just like, that's definitely something I'd do if I became a head teacher.
It
You know
is.
what I mean?
Yes, listen. Thank you so much
No worries.
for coming down. We really, really appreciate it. Is there anything upcoming or any projects that you're coming that you want to kind of share with us, or anything you're doing we need to look out for? Obviously, we know Stephen Lawrence Day is coming up.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm doing. So I'm part of the London Policing Board as well.
Okay.
With Sadiq Khan and the mayor. There's some stuff, interesting stuff coming around that. Again, which I just need everyone to get on board and to ask the questions and to be involved, because the police are there for us.
Yes.
We've got to see them as an institution that we work with and work alongside. They rather than doing things to us. That sort of scenario. There's that stuff that I'm doing. Yeah, just like I said, work wise, got some interesting things in the fire, trying to bubble away and see where they come out like. But yeah, just as I said, just trying to help as many young people as I go through life as possible. That's still going to be my endless mission statement, because I'm a firm believer they are the future. Like I said, I've got a 14-year-old myself. I need to make sure that they're best equipped, have the best resources, have the best of everything, so that they can take the fight to that next level that they need to. Because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint in my world. It really is.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you
No,
for your
it's a pleasure,
contributions, and I'm sure we're going to receive some comments and stuff like that. So yeah, we look out for it. But thank you very much. Again, this is the SLT podcast. We're signing out from myself here, Rena, and our esteemed guest, Stuart Lawrence.
Thank you.
Please make sure you are liking, sharing, subscribing, doing all that good stuff, because what I find is people, they'll watch the shorts. They'll watch the shorts. They love to watch the shorts.
Yeah.
But we're not getting people who are subscribing, and it's the subscribing that allows us to continue to do this work. So please make sure you are sharing and you are subscribing, and we'll see you on the next SLT podcast.